After writing 1,316 journal entries documenting my life, I've established a pretty solid journaling habit. I journal every morning and every evening, and I think it's one of the most impactful long-term habits that you can implement. So let's talk about why you should journal, my favorite app for journaling, how to make journaling a habit, and I'll even let you snoop a little bit in my own journal. First of all, why should you even bother to journal? So you're probably thinking that writing 1,316 journal entries took a lot of time, and it did, but I think it is very worth it for 3 reasons. Journaling helps you document your life. I don't want to just remember the huge trips and the birthdays and the graduations and the milestones, because you probably already have photos of those events. What I really want to remember is what my daily life was like at different points in my life. Who was I talking to? What was I thinking about? What grocery stores was I shopping at? It's like you're making a time capsule for your future self. The second reason to journal is to be able to look back and reflect on your life in detail. So I say this a lot on my channel. I sound like a broken record at this point, but if you never look back and review how things went in the past, how will you improve in the future? That's why I have my monthly review video, weekly review, annual review, a wide assortment of reviews that you can do, but I'm telling you, I would not remember anything to write in these reviews if it were not for my journal. So when I'm doing my weekly review, I look back at my past 7 journal entries and I can see exactly every little thing that went well or didn't go well that week. And on a bigger scale, one thing I like to do at the end of the year is look back at all the people that were important to me that year, and I can actually take someone's name, search it in my journal, and relive all of the things that we did together that year with photos. For example, my boyfriend and I met a year before we started dating, and because of my journal entry that day, I know the exact circumstances around us meeting, I know everything else I did that day, and also 2 days after we met, I wrote in my journal that I really wanted to become good friends with him. And these are memories and thoughts that would have definitely evaporated from my mind otherwise, because in the moment, I did not realize how important and significant they were. By the way, you're gonna see snippets of my very own 100% authentic, slightly redacted journal throughout this video, and all of that is from the Day One Journal app. So if you wanna go poke around and explore a little bit while you're watching the video, okay, don't go away yet, but you can go to dayoneapp.com/blissbean, or just click the link I put in the description and you will get a 2-month free trial of Day One Premium, which is the journaling app that I've been using for 3.5 years now. And thirdly and finally, journaling is a really nice way to maintain an internal dialogue with yourself. You could always just talk to yourself, but that's kind of hard to do if you live with other people. And there's also just something more permanent and impactful about writing things down. So I like to use my journal when there's something bothering me, it's on my mind, distracting me all day. Basically, I need to lay out all of the information about the situation and all of my thoughts about it in my journal so I can see it clearly in text and kind of use logic and reasoning to be like, because of reasons A, B, and C, this situation is actually not as bad as it seems, and these are the next steps that I'm gonna take to deal with the issue. The same way that I need to write down all of my to-dos so they're not floating around in my head, journaling accomplishes that same thing. It's just peace of mind. So here we go. Here's the big controversial question. This is about as controversial as things get in the productivity niche. Should you journal on paper or digitally? I always say on my channel that you have to find what works for you. I will never be like, 100% this is what you should be doing. I am not assertive enough for that. But for me, it's not even a question. I am 100% for digital journaling. I love paper notebooks, but for other things. So I like to have a notepad beside me when I'm working to jot down anything that pops into my head. I carry a notebook with me to brainstorm or to plan out something visually, like a thumbnail for a video. But when it comes to journaling, I just have so much that I want to say, and I can type so much faster than I can handwrite. I want to be able to attach photos and videos to my entries. I want it to be a visual record as well. I want my journal to be safely stored in the cloud because I lose a lot of things and I worry about losing a lot of things, and I want it to be searchable. So for those 4 reasons, paper journaling does not work for me.
For all of those reasons, I'm out.
By the way, I did actually used to journal on paper. I have this big box of journals back home, so I do have experience with both. But with paper, I just didn't feel as motivated to write because my hand would get tired, it would take so long, and I also very rarely flipped back through those journals to read my old entries, so they basically just sat in my closet collecting dust. A lot of people ask, doesn't digital journaling feel impersonal? Because I know there is something special to having a tangible notebook. But after journaling digitally for more than 3 years and writing 1,316 entries, I can tell you that the more you journal, the more personal it starts to feel. Because it's almost like you're building this little digital home for yourself. Bit by bit, you're building it up, decorating it with your photos and your memories. And so every time that you open the app and you put it in full screen and you put on Do Not Disturb, you are just surrounded by this archive of your life. So I'm gonna show you a little more in depth how my journaling habit works exactly, and I am so excited to say that this video is sponsored by Day One, because as I said, I was using Day One for 3.5 years before they even approached me. They found me, they were super excited about what an avid user I was. Day One is the journaling app. When I first switched away from paper journaling, Day One was the first thing that I tried, and it was so smooth and user-friendly and did everything so well that I never switched away. I used the free version for a few months, and then after that I was convinced. I got the premium version, and so then I could add unlimited photos and videos to my entries. I could use the app across different devices, so usually I'll journal on my laptop, but if I'm really tired and already in bed, then I'll do a quick entry on my phone, and I get to have multiple journals. So I like to separate out my daily journal from the journal that I use for weekly reviews. And you actually get to try the premium version of Day One for 2 months using my link dayoneapp.com/blissbean. It's also in the description. This link gets you the best, longest trial of Day One Premium that you can get anywhere, and it also supports the Bliss Bean. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for you to click that. Okay, so I want to show you basically the building blocks that you can use for your daily journal templates. Day One will pre-populate your entry with the date, the time, the weather that day, and the location. In terms of what you write in the body of your entry, I think there are basically 2 main forms of journaling. So the first would be a log of your day, just writing down everything that happened, everything you did. And the second one would be more emotional, where you're writing about what's on your mind, what you're thinking, and what you're feeling about it. Or of course, you can also do a mix of both. So for me, in my morning entry, I do more of that stream of consciousness style. I free write for 5 minutes about whatever was on my mind when I woke up. Then I like to add a few little building blocks. So I add a list of 3 things that I'm looking forward to that day and 3 things I can do to make it a better day. You can also add tags to your Day One entry. So I add a morning tag, and I also am very interested in something called cycle syncing. I have a video about that. So I just tag it with the day of the menstrual cycle that I'm on. In my evening entry, that one's more of a log. So I write down everything that I did that day, and I add 3 things that I accomplished that day and 3 things that I was grateful for. And you can add any other building blocks that you want. You could add what media you consumed that day, what books you read, what movies you watched. You could add your single highlight from the day, your favorite moment. You could do a quote of the day. You can use your journal as a food diary, a habit tracker. One of my favorite features about Day One is that you can make templates. So I, for example, have a template for my morning entries, and when I click that, it pre-populates the entry with all of the lists that I need. I also have a template for my evening entries, my weekly reviews, my monthly reviews. You can create a template for absolutely anything that you want, and there are also a bunch of pre-made ones as well. For the final section of this video, how do you make journaling a daily habit that you will actually stick with and actually enjoy? Well, as someone who has written, I'm gonna do it again, 1,316 entries, I have a few bits of advice. When I started journaling in Day One, I was literally writing a couple of sentences per entry, so that probably took me a minute each night to do. Then I thought it would be fun to add 1 photo per day, and then I started doing those little lists of 3 things I accomplished and 3 things I was grateful for. Then instead of just writing at night, I started doing a morning entry as well, and slowly my entries just got longer and longer naturally. I never forced it. I never set myself a word count goal. I just wanted to document more. So now my daily entries are usually around 300 words, sometimes up to 600, but do not try to start with this kind of detailed entry. Start small with just 2 sentences per day, and then as this record of your life grows bigger and bigger, you will feel intrinsically motivated to add more to it. Even still, there are some days when I am just too tired, it is too late to write my full-length entry, and so on those days, days, I just tell myself, write something, write 2 sentences and you're done. I will never force myself to write a long entry because I do not want to grow to resent this habit. Secondly, journaling is a habit that might be kind of hard to fit into your daily routine in the beginning. So try to find something that you already do every day that you could either do journaling during, like your train ride home from work, for example, or something that you could tie journaling onto. So for example, for me, I have a morning and evening routine where journaling just stacks very neatly on top of that. This is what we call this, habit stacking. So in the morning, you know, I'll take my cold shower, I'll do my skincare, and then I immediately go and sit down and do my journal entry. Same thing in the evening, I do my skincare and I go sit down, do my journal entry. It's become very automatic at this point. And my last tip is to enjoy your journal. I think it's so important to not just type out your entries and then never look at them again, but to actually experience and enjoy your journal. So day 1 has a couple of different views that I like to use to look back through the memories that I have in my journal. There is the map feature, so every entry you write is automatically tagged with your location or the location of the photos that you add to the entry. You can also scroll through this calendar, which I think is so motivating for daily journaling, because I'll be honest, there are some months when I'm kind of slacking on journaling, but on the months when I have written every single day, it is so satisfying to look through it and see every single square filled in. You can also scroll through the gallery view where you see all of your photos and videos in one place, and it's just like, it's like scrolling through your camera roll, except it's curated because you picked all your favorite photos and videos. And finally, they have the on this day feature, which I love and check every day. I also have the widget for that on my phone as well. So yeah, what I really want to emphasize in this video is how amazing it feels to be able to open my journal today, go to on this day, and see detailed entries from 2023, 2022, 2021, living in different countries, having different people in my life, and just having such a detailed record of that. So again, it's dayoneapp.com/blissbean, or click the link in my description. Trust me, just give it a try, see where this habit goes. I always remember that one quote, the time will pass anyways, so why not start today? So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like videos about productivity and habits and routines and things like that. I will see you back here with a new video soon, and I hope you have a great week. Bye!